Your guest cars are in direct violation of Section 3B.
I'm assessing a fine starting today.
I advise you to review state statute.
The tow truck's hook was already tight on my brother's bumper when I stepped into the cold night air and smelled fresh asphalt and exhaust. Orange hazard lights flashed across my driveway like a crime scene at 9:00 p.m. The HOA security golf cart was parked sideways, blocking the street like it was a border checkpoint. Karen, our HOA president, stood there in a neon vest, clutching a clipboard and a steaming cup of coffee like it was a badge. She waved a pink slip in my face and said, "This is your third violation tonight." My brother shivered in the cold, still holding my kid's birthday balloon, while our neighbors peeked through blinds like we were getting arrested. The paper said unauthorized driveway guest parking and listed a towing fee and 3 separate fines. My own driveway. My own family. And she looked happy about it. That's when it clicked for me what this fight really was. Karen fined my driveway guests since 2009, had no idea I am their city attorney. She'd been doing this for years. I'd heard stories when I first moved in. Fines for baby showers. Fines for holiday dinners. Even fines when a plumber's truck stayed past 8:00 p.m. I stepped between her and the tow truck and said, "Calm down, Karen, they're leaving in 10 minutes. She smiled that tight, fake smile and said, "Rules are rules." The board approved no driveway guests. As the tow truck hauled my brother's car away, I glanced up and saw neighbors duck back from their windows like they didn't dare be seen. That fear in their faces felt worse than the sound of the chains clanking. The next morning, I tried to be reasonable. I walked into the HOA office with a copy of our bylaws in a calm voice. The space smelled like burnt coffee and printer ink. I asked for an appeal hearing. The receptionist wouldn't meet my eyes. "The board is very busy," she whispered. I sent an email instead, attached photos of my guests standing calmly on my property, offered to pay half if they just stopped towing cars. 8 minutes later I got a reply, "Appeal denied, fines upheld, pay within 10 days. No explanation. Just a total, 3 violations, $100 each, plus a $50 administrative review fee. That was my line in the sand. I knew, as a city attorney, that our municipal code clearly said HOAs can't ban driveway parking for less than 24 hours unless there's an emergency. But I didn't tell them that yet. I promised myself I'd use proper channels only. No screaming. No threats. Just the law. That night I sat at my kitchen table, the house quiet except for the fridge humming, and I started plotting. I pulled up the city code on my laptop and highlighted every section about parking, property rights, and HOA authority. Then I opened a blank binder and went full receipts montage. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I added my brother's towing bill. I added screenshots of neighbors' messages about being fined for driveway guests. Then I filed a public records request for every complaint, ticket, and police call involving our HOA board for the past 15 years. 2 weeks later, at my office downtown, the clerk rolled out a box and dropped a thick stack on my desk. The file landed with 63 pages. I flipped through and my stomach turned. Timeline item 1 April 5th at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. Then another. And another. Same caller name. Same address. Karen. She'd called the police on her own neighbors at least 13 times. Same pattern. Same lie. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. It was all right there in black and white. I built my case like I was going to court, because I was. I drafted a memo to our code enforcement team explaining how the HOA's no driveway guests rule violated city law. I listed every illegal fine, every tow, every false report, with dates and times. I tallied the money, more than $6,000 in bogus charges since 2009. Then I scheduled a joint visit, code enforcement, our city clerk, and me, in my official role. And I picked the biggest stage I could. The annual HOA cookout on May 3, 2024. That afternoon the air smelled like charcoal and hot dogs. Kids ran around with chalk on the sidewalk. Karen stood by the sign-in table with her whistle and her clipboard, greeting people like she owned the block. When the white city car pulled up and code enforcement stepped out with a folder, phones came out fast. Neighbors started filming without even knowing why. We didn't go to her office. We went straight to the pavilion where everyone could hear. The code officer asked for the HOA board. Karen strutted up, annoyed, asking if someone complained about trash cans. I stepped beside him and took a breath. My voice sounded louder than I meant when I said, "I'm the assistant city attorney assigned to HOA compliance for this district." Her face froze. For the first time since I'd known her, she didn't have a comeback. I set my binder on the picnic table with a thump. I read out the rule number she'd invented. I read the part of city law that said HOAs can't tow guests from private driveways under 24 hours. I read the dates of every illegal tow and fine, including my brother's. Then I turned the pages and listed her midnight police calls. The officer beside me calmly explained that the city was issuing a formal notice of violation and ordering full refunds within 30 days. Someone gasped. Someone laughed. A teen yelled, "This is going on TikTok." Cameras zoomed in on Karen's red face as she tried to grab the paper out of the officer's hand and he pulled it back. By the time we finished, there was a small circle of people around us. Some were crying, some were angry, some were smiling in this stunned, shaky way. The code officer explained that continued violations could mean daily fines against the HOA, not us, and that the board's conduct was now on the city council's agenda. Another officer from the police department, who had tagged along to observe, stepped up and said calm as stone, "Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted, and we will be reviewing these calls." The crowd went silent, then buzzed even louder. Karen tried to say it was all a misunderstanding, that she was just trying to keep the neighborhood safe, but nobody moved toward her. Instead, they moved toward me. One neighbor said, "I thought we had no rights." Another said, "I've been scared to invite my own family over." And it hit me how deep her control had gone. The aftermath came fast. At the emergency HOA meeting the next week, held in a crowded garage because nobody trusted the clubhouse anymore, the board voted to remove Karen as president. The city's notice required the HOA to send refund checks to every owner who had been fined under the illegal rule, with interest. Karen was barred from serving on the board for 5 years under our bylaws for serious misconduct. The police flagged her address for prior false reports. No more easy midnight drama for her. A month later, the vibe on our street was different. Cars lined driveways on weekends. You could smell barbecue and see grandparents stepping out with gifts instead of fear. My brother came back with his kids and parked in the same spot without looking over his shoulder. One of my elderly neighbors brought me a warm pie and said, "Thanks for using the law, not just yelling." That night I sat on my porch with a mug of coffee, listening to quiet laughter drift over from a neighbor's birthday party, watching every forbidden driveway full of guests. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.